Jess, and I'm here to pitch you an idea that's been around for centuries, but is only finally getting the recognition and funding it deserves. I present to you feminism.
Feminism? Isn't that just misandry with better PR?
Good question, Frank. I'm glad you asked. Feminism is actually the belief in social, political, and economic equality of the sexes. So no, feminism isn't about hating men. It's about leveling the playing field. And who doesn't love a fair competition? Okay, so what's the business model here? I'm so glad you asked. Feminism is all about challenging the patriarchy. The patriarchy is an invisible set of rules meant to keep men at the top. The interesting thing is that everyone, men and women, ends up internalizing it. It's years of social conditioning telling us things like men are leaders, women are caregivers, and boys don't cry.
Wait. So you're telling me that this patriarchy thing is just in our heads?
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's not just in your head. It's in your systems, your laws, even your language. It's like an outdated computer, and we're here to revamp it.
I've heard of this before. It sounds like you're talking about social constructionism, right? Something about how a gender is a social construct?
Exactly. You're sharper than I expected, Frank. So, sex is biological. XX, XY, chromosomes, hormones, all that good stuff. But gender? That's the roles, behaviors, and expectations society gives to those biological differences. Feminism tells us that we don't need to fit into these traditional roles that it boxes us in. I mean, who decided pink was for girls and blue was for boys? A toy company in the 1950s? So you're saying we're all kind of trapped in this system? Exactly. And here's the thing, it's not just about women. The patriarchy limits men too. Like when it tells boys, man up, or stop being so sensitive. Feminism says that men can be emotional, women can lead, and anyone can enjoy a good rom-com without being judged. Equity for all, right?
This sounds good on paper, but what about all this talk about literary theory? Where's the profit in that?
Feminist literary theory. Let's talk literature. It's about examining the way females are represented in text, whether that be damsels in distress, side characters, or even worse, objects. Feminist theory asks us, why aren't women the heroes in their own stories? It's about rewriting the narrative to reflect the real world, where women can save the day just as much as men. Imagine all the untapped potential in storytelling, media, content creation. It's a whole market waiting to be explored.
So you're saying that this is a potential shift and a potential cash cow?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen it before in female-led films, novels, CEOs. I mean, feminism is about breaking down the doors for everyone and breaking down those invisible barriers for us all. It's making sure that everyone gets a seat at this table, investors included. So feminism benefits everyone. I like the sound of that. Spot on. Feminism isn't about taking away from men. It's about adding to the table. And who doesn't love more opportunities, right? So, Gators, are you in, or are you going to let the patriarchy keep you in outdated investments?
I'm in, but only if we get equal pay.
I think I'm in too. The future's feminist.
You know what? Let's smash this patriarchy thing. I'm in.
Woo! Welcome aboard, Gators. Let's change the world.
Let's go feminism! Hey everyone, this is Joaquin Fajardo, and this is Walking with Joaquin, and today we're going to be roaming the halls of Gates, putting people on the feminist hot seat, and we're going to be asking some controversial questions. So let's go. Wait, I see someone right there. Excuse me. Would you be with a woman who's been with a lot of men?
I could never. I could only date a girl that's only like me and only me. I like my woman like I like my cars. Brand new. As soon as you take them off the lot, useless. Value down. It's not worth anything anymore, bro.
No. Hey, we could go here. Excuse me. What would you do if your man's dated a lot of women before?
I don't think it even matters. It's 2024. It shouldn't be a big topic. Women and men, it shouldn't matter about your sexual intimate life.
Yeah, why are we holding women to a different standard than men? Like, come on, guys, it's 2024.
Hey guys, editor Selena here. Thought I would just give some context as to what the answers mean and how they kind of relate to feminism, a bit more informative. So basically, it's showing how men and women are held to different standards when it comes to how they sexually present themselves and their sexual private activities, where men might sleep around, might have multiple partners, might be very sexually liberated. They are not degraded by society. No one bats an eye. Oftentimes they're paraded for it, and they parade these things around. Whereas women could maybe not even be as sexually promiscuous or forward as a man, but they are degraded and looked down upon by society and oftentimes called things like slut or whore. Pardon my language, but I'm trying to make an example. Anyways, that's it.
Hey, would you date a person who makes less than 6 figures? Too slow. Excuse me. Would you date a man who makes less than 6 figures?
Of course I wouldn't. My life needs to be sustained by more than 6 figures. Why would I settle for a
That's
man who
100K,
can't-
bro.
So? I need more than that.
How much do you need?
More than that.
What the fuck?
The patriarchy not only limits women, but it also limits men because it applies very intense pressure on a man to live up to the ideal man, which is strong, rich, powerful, unemotional, angry, aggressive, all of these characteristics that we commonly associate with men. And through Noor's answer, we can see that a man who doesn't live up to this, a man who doesn't make a lot of money, a man who is broke, is a failure, cannot provide, cannot fulfill his duties, societal duties, and therefore he is looked down upon and he should be embarrassed because he cannot give a woman that luxurious lifestyle. And so what we're trying to show here is that the patriarchy is also bad for men. So feminism rocks.
Excuse me. Would you be a stay-at-home husband?
No,
Why not?
because the man must provide for his family, and he has.
You gotta be the big man, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What else?
It's a man's duty always.
It's always their duty. Duty.
Duty. Yeah.
We got a macho man over here. Excuse me. What do you think a man's ideal type of woman is?
She has to be a baddie.
What's a baddie?
So she has to have a tentative tan face, a good figure, so it's like
Oh, like voluptuous?
yeah, exactly. So like a big chest
Uh-huh.
and a big behind. But not just that, a good personality. They have to stay home, do the cooking and chores.
Hell no!
Basically, what we're trying to say here is that women often internalize patriarchal values about women within themselves. And because this type of rhetoric is so ingrained in their heads and we're taught it from so young, we begin to believe that the ideal woman is what a patriarchal society tells us an ideal woman should be, which is pretty, skinny, or whatever the body standard is at that time. She's soft-spoken, she's gentle, she's a caregiver, she cooks, she cleans, she's a good girl, it's the type of girl you marry, she's pure. That's basically what we're trying to say, that women themselves hold those same values and often project them onto other women and onto themselves as well.
Welcome everyone to Viral Spiral. Tonight, we have something very, very special. We're taking 3 moments from the internet and highlighting exactly how feminism and gender bias are still kicking around like that last person at a party who should have left an hour ago. Let's get into it. First, we've got a viral post from r/Am I the A-hole, where a male attorney tells his female colleague that maybe law just isn't for her. You know, because she's a woman. He's concerned that she'll get too emotional in high-pressure cases. Like what? Ah, yes, because women's brains short-circuit when faced with logic, right? This is a prime example of biological essentialism, which is the idea that men and women are naturally suited for different things. Quite frankly, it's outdated, like Facebook, and it's just as harmful. And while this guy thought he was giving some career advice, what he was actually doing was gatekeeping based on tired gender stereotypes. Now, plus, this thinking also helps the gender pay gap alive and well, which discourages women from taking high-paying, male-dominated roles. So, sir, are you the asshole? Well, quite frankly, I think you signed up for a lifetime membership at that club. You're supposed to laugh now. Now, speaking of women like they belong in a box, let's talk sports. Next up, we've got a shocking stat from the world of sports medicine. Less than 35% of our participants in exercise studies are female, and only 3 to 6% are focused on women's sports performances. This is a classic example of health gap, where women's unique needs are ignored or poorly researched, and it taps right into the habit of seeing, where men's experiences are set as the default. No wonder female athletes are facing worse injuries or even misdiagnoses. Sports sciences really need to stop acting like it's playing one size fits all. Women don't need to be viewed as little men. They need to be viewed or researched as their own specific biology, not just a miniaturized version of the male blueprint. Last but not least, let's hit it off on a double feature of the year, Barbie versus Oppenheimer. Now, there's a joke going around where a comedian says, Oppenheimer is based on a 721-page Pulitzer Prize winning book, and Barbie is on a plastic doll with big boobies. Ah, the good old male gaze. At work, reducing an entire cultural moment down to just boobies. Because why focus on themes of empowerment or gender roles when you can just objectify them, right? Hits us off with a Barbie goes from perfect beauty to bad breath and cellulite, or what casting directors call a character actor. Well, of course it's a punchline or whatever, but the underlying meaning means that women are human and not Barbie perfect. So once that happens, their worth drops. This is the same kind of thing that has us belittling things made by women for women. While Oppenheimer gets all the intellectual glory, Barbie gets, despite being a cultural force that tackles real issues, gets reduced to a joke made by appearance. So what do all 3 of those viral moments have in common? Whether it's on the law office or the sports field, even the movie screen. Women's creations, ideas, and or talents are constantly being undervalued or undermined. Now, from biological essentialism to the good old male gaze, or even the health gap, it's the same story, but with different characters. But here's the thing, it doesn't get better until we rewrite those tired scripts.
Welcome to Pop Culture Tea Time, where today we'll be analyzing how feminist literary theory can be found in pop culture. Today, our movie is Little Women, so let's jump right into it.
You know, I just feel like women, they, they have minds and they have souls as well as just hearts, and they've got ambition and they've got talent as well as just beauty.
Really interesting observation here, one that we can use psychoanalytic feminism for. This is a French branch of feminist literary theory. It highlights the impact the patriarchy has on the psychological experience of women on an unconscious level through language that reiterates patriarchal beliefs. When you think of a heart, what gender do you find yourself associating it with? What about the mind? And how about beauty, ambition, and talent? If you said women for heart and beauty and man for mind, ambition, and talent, then you've proven another feminist literary theory called patriarchal binary thought. This is the idea that the world or language is viewed in polar opposites, where one thing, often the thing associated with men, is considered superior to the other, often the thing associated with women. In this case, Joe unknowingly practices this train of thought by insinuating that women simply having just hearts or beauty is inferior to them having minds, ambition, or talent. But Jo isn't reiterating these patriarchal beliefs because she's sexist or isn't a feminist. No, it's simply internalized patriarchy. It's years of being fed patriarchal values and beliefs, internalizing and appearing unconsciously in ways women dress, speak, think, or even view themselves and other women.
And I'm so sick of people saying that love is just all a woman is fit for. I'm so sick of it. But I'm so lonely.
Ah, yes, the patriarchal concept of femininity. Women are simply born with an all-consuming desire to fall helplessly in love, get swept off her feet, marry her Prince Charming, and pop out a bunch of babies. Heaven forbid she wants to challenge the system and find her own life goal, which isn't a ring on her finger. Now, Jo is a great example of this. She's a feminist in her rebellious attitude to the system, and she wants to prove she can go against it, but she's also a great example of the guilt women feel for desiring the things society has told them to want, and for not being the quote-unquote perfect feminist, even if it comes from their own volition.
For a female, I am of middling talent.
Middling talent. What are you going to do with your life?
Polish up all my other talents and become an ornament to society. Well, I'm not a poet. I'm just a woman. And as a woman, there's no way for me to make my own money. Not enough to earn a living or to support my family. And if I had my own money, which I don't, that money would belong to my husband the moment we got married. And if we had children, they would be his, not mine. They would be his property. So don't sit there and tell me that marriage isn't an economic proposition, because it is. It may not be for you, but it most certainly is for me.
Amy, the youngest Marge sister. Some love her and some find her irrationally annoying. Regardless of what your view on her is, we can agree that her view on marriage and money for the time that Little Women was written in is anything but naive. In the 19th century, American women were considered autonomous humans. Women were simply property, an extension of either their fathers, brothers, or husbands. And Amy clearly knows that the only way to benefit from this oppressive system was to at least climb the social ladder through her husband's wealth and status, since she wouldn't be able to attain it independently. This brings us to the other French feminist literary theory, materialist feminism, a concoction between Marxist and feminist ideologies that analyze patriarchal traditions manifested in laws regarding marriage, motherhood, and women's independence and their relation to the material/economic conditions that oppress women in society. Amy quitting art for being a middling talent is likely an extension of this. The fear of having a dream, in this case being an artist, not being implicitly married, and leading to failure stops women like Amy from fully tapping into the potential and instead falling back on society's safety net, which is marriage. Amy opts to take on the role of an ornament, subduing her intellect, passion, and talent for guaranteed financial security she can only find through marriage.
Jo's finally publishing her book, Little Women, but as you can see, she's in a different getup. She dressed in men's clothing and assumes a different identity. Why? Because she wants to be taken seriously. Because she's a woman? Being a writer? Now that was just distasteful in 19th century America. Like many real female authors of the time, Jo has gone against the woman can't be authors and disguised herself in order to fulfill her goals.
Who does she marry?
No one. She doesn't marry either of them.
No. No, that won't work at all.
Well, she says the whole book that she doesn't want to marry.
Who cares? Girls want to see women married, not consistent.
No, it isn't the right ending.
The right ending is the one that sells.
Yes, another man's sexist opinion, unsolicited, unnecessary, and completely condescending.
Trust me, if you decide to end your delightful book with your heroine a spinster, no one will buy it. It won't be worth printing.
Well, I suppose marriage has always been an economic proposition, even in fiction.
It's romance.
It's mercenary.
Just end it that way, will you?
Fine.
Apparently, even fictional women can't escape the patriarchal values of our society. A spinster, literally a word meaning an unmarried woman typically beyond a marriageable age. Yes, there's an actual word for that, and it clearly has disproving undertones. Can you guess what the male equivalent is? A bachelor. That's got a different ring to it for sure. A whole lot more accepting and a lot less shameful. Jo makes her unmarried character go from a bad girl, a woman who defies the patriarchy by being loud and aggressive, or refusing to marry, into a good girl by marrying her off to a French professor. The publisher adamantly pushing for this and saying her book has no value if she leaves her character unmarried illustrates in a way how women lose their appeal or value when she strays away from the guideline the patriarchy has set up for her to blindly obey. If a woman fails to stand firmly on the pedestal of what a good girl entails, like Jo's book, no one will want it, or her,